already leaders. You have everything that it takes inside of you. Okay, so I want to make sure I start this call out. We just started recording. For those who don't know me, my name is Randy Webb. Me and my wife, Wanda, we have been full-time entrepreneurs now for the past 7.5 years. It's been an absolute blessing. We have started, our entrepreneur journey really in 2007, where I sparked, and I believe God put my eyes on a bigger vision outside of the military. And I did. Network marketing wasn't the first thing that I got into. We got involved with real estate. I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. We started a clothing business / shoe business where we were selling we had an actual store that I was working over the weekends. Family moved in. There was a lot of obstacles that we had to overcome. And I look at that and I say, man, I look back, with all the faith that we had during that time to get out of our situation. And it was all just a process, okay? And what you need to know, that everything that you go through in life is just a process and a building block for you to get better. Each day you should be getting better as a person and as a leader. And depending on what you're developing inside yourself, your personal development, okay, that's what's going to spawn out your daily habits. So today we're going to kind of put the process in context as a law. So we're now continuing today the law of process, which is the third law for the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, written by John C. Maxwell. Phenomenal book. You can actually download the book for free if you can read offline. Print it out. It's not for resale, but you can print it out, and go read it, highlight it. Like, this is time for you to be a student of leadership, okay? And I'm going to mention this again. It is one of the laws to create that leadership, and it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, okay? So, just giving you my personal story. When I joined the military when I was 18, 19 years old, okay, that was like really the start of kind of my leadership introductory. I got to watch, young men and women lead others in war, okay? Lead others, developing us to become military members, to become structured, become disciplined. So really my first introduction to leadership for me, and what I believe in it. And before that, I had some introduction to leadership as well, okay? But it's structured when I joined the Air Force. So I joined the Air Force in 99. I remember going through boot camp right here in San Antonio, Texas. And they used to call us rainbows. Coming off the bus, everybody had different clothing on back then. It was baggy clothes. I had some baggy jeans on, had my food. But I remember the outfit, the whole outfit I was wearing the day I stepped off that bus. I had I'm gonna tell my age, y'all. Yeah, I had a FUBU shirt for us, by us, a gray FUBU shirt on. It had the red trim letterings. I had some blue jeans on. And I think I may have had like some felines on or something like that. I remember hopping off the bus, and what a reality check, okay? For those who serve in the military, first of all, I want to say thank you for your service. Thank you for your contribution, and as well as your families, thank you for their sacrifice, because I know what it takes to go through that process, especially if you've deployed, and if you deployed several times. My Army guys and girls, man, I know that you all had a process. There were times that, as a C-130 pilot, and I'll get to that point, is, man, I got to see people deploy away from their families for like 1 year straight. Can you imagine like what you have to go through to be away from your family that long? We had a tempo in our unit where we were away 4 months out of the year. So it'll be our four months every other month. So it'll be 4 months on, 4 months off, and then 4 months again. So I literally was gone 8 months out of the year, but we got to split it up. So I'm going to talk about the process of how I feel I developed as a leader. And then we're going to talk about the reading by John C. Maxwell and how it equates. And I'll tell you, my leadership was absolutely a process. So here's what I want you to know today, okay? In this industry that we're in, for those who are in I Am Master Academy, maybe you got on here and you're not in I Am Master Academy, that's cool. This is gonna apply to you. From the time that I became successful in most of the things that I do, because I believe once you learn leadership, it applies to everything. You know how to just move without asking permission. Right? That's really what it comes down. What does a leader do? A leader doesn't ask permission to do certain things. They just know. They just have an ability. But it was a process for them to get the confidence and competency to know, I'm just going to do that. Right now, a majority of you, right, I get it, you don't know exactly what it is that you do if you have the permission or if you're competent enough to get something done or just to start some. Why? It's scary stepping out by yourself and not knowing who's going to follow. Okay, but I'm gonna tell you that's gonna be one of the phases, okay, of your leadership process, is to be aware of what you don't know. Today, you don't know what you don't know, and that's gonna be phase one that I'm gonna talk about here. So, literally, my leadership, I believe that my leadership journey started well over 21 years ago. So 21 years ago is when I was first really introduced and immersed into a leadership culture, Air Force, the military. And that first thing was boot camp. And so my very first leadership position, okay, you can have positional leadership, right? It can be charismatic leadership. And I like charismatic leadership because you get people that follow you voluntarily. They want to, you inspire them, they admire you, they want to be like you, or they want to at least accomplish what you've accomplished, or they want to have the skill set that you have. Okay, so as you know, my wife talked about the law of influence. Influence is leadership. Okay, at the end of the day, influence is leadership. Why? Because influencing a group of people to move in a certain fashion with you. Okay, so most people don't become aware that they don't have influence or they don't have leadership until that time comes. And it's okay. We're going to teach you how to build up your influence and in turn build up your leadership skills, because that's when you're going to start leading a pack of people. All right, so my very first leadership position, for those who've been in the military, we got to stay in dorms. And so Air Force is like an 8-week boot camp. And I remember we were called rainbows at first because we had our civilian clothes on. And then literally the next day you go through in processing and all that. And then you start work, they get your uniforms going. You start fitting on your uniform. They change up everything, right? They change up who you are and how you feel. And I'll tell you, it was some pride in throwing on a military uniform for the very first time, getting fitted for it. And you get fit and you feel good, okay? So they kind of change who you are, right there with what you wear, okay? But I remember the MTI, military training instructor, we call them MTIs. They wear the brim caps. And I remember they used to put that thing right on your head. But probably that first week, one of the MTIs came up, and I still don't know to today why they said I was the dorm chief, okay? So I don't know if it was posture. I know I can look back in the days, I look very young, young kid coming out of Compton, California. I can tell you there was no emotions probably in my face, so one of the things that I probably never did back then, and I started doing way more of that now, is I did not smile, and I know that for sure, right? Smiling was considered like a weak thing coming from where I come from. You didn't smile, okay? You always have this straight, no, I feel no ways type of look. No emotions whatsoever. So I remember the TI coming up and looking at me, took off my cap, and he said, "This is the dorm chief right here." So I look at that today, I'm like, man, God, did you know that I was going to take on just a big leadership position where I was going in life? And I've always said that, okay? I have, from the time of me joining the military was a miracle, okay? Getting away from my environment was a miracle. And so I've always known there was some type of purpose for me, just never knew that purpose. But now we're here. I understand my purpose and I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I continually lead that way. And I try to stay in tune because maybe it can change, okay? But at that point, the TI goes, "You're the dorm chief." And the other TI goes, "Yep, you're right." And so I don't know if it had something to do with my hard look or seriousness, or they just knew I was going to take my job serious, but I was the dorm chief and they expected me as a young 19-year-old kid. Listen, I was not the oldest one in class. I was 19. Okay, they made me the dorm chief of these 50 other men that were in the dorm. And it was up to me to keep them in order. Now imagine that, okay? You don't even know them yet. And your job, they're putting you in charge. Anything happens in this dorm, you're in trouble, dorm chief. So you need to keep this thing in charge. You know what? I took my job seriously. I didn't understand how to get influence, but I knew how to get respect for where I came from. So that's how it kind of started off. I really didn't say much. I wasn't rude or anything. I just stated what the rules were, how we're going to do it, and then I led by example. Okay, if we were supposed to be in bed at a certain time, I ensured that I was in bed, and then I enforced that everybody else was in bed at a certain time. And then as I started understanding the process of what they wanted done in the military, meaning there were certain things that we had to accomplish under certain rules, and I had to make sure that everybody was moving in the same direction. So there were times that I fell as a dorm chief. I got fired literally the last week, okay? And I don't know if it's on purpose, but we were coming up into where people needed to study for their test, okay? And this is where leadership sometimes, there's a question like, how do you know when to do this and do that? And sometimes it's just from the heart. And so I'll tell you, there was, I got to grow and get a relationship with all 50 of those men that I was leading in that dorm, okay? And so I wasn't leading, I started off with positional leadership, okay? Meaning I'm the dorm chief, you respect it, here's the rules. If you don't follow them, I'm gonna report you, whatever the case may be, okay? Let's put this thing in order. But over time, I've actually built character, I built relationships with all of these men to where they respected me. And so I'm gonna talk about different facets of leadership, okay? Because there are different facets that you have to gain if you wanna be an effective leader, okay? There's a difference between an ineffective leader and an effective leader. So some of those facets are respect, okay? And then the process, experience, emotional strength. That's a huge one. Emotional strength is huge, whether you anger or whether you get emotional, crying, all of it together. You know, one of the things we say in the military is get your bearings, okay? When the time is not now to cry, get your bearings together, okay? You got to be able to control your emotions at all times, and that's a big thing as a leader. People skills, okay? Understanding, was a big thing for me, learning how to actually convey what we needed to get done without having to use my position to do it. Some people, we are used to using our position and we treat people like crap, okay? In network marketing, you're realizing that ain't gonna work, okay? This is a volunteer force. And so you must treat people with respect. And so therefore your leadership elevation gotta be pretty high because you're getting people to do things without telling them to do it. It's inspiring them to do it. Now in network marketing, I've seen people try to tell people what to do and their organization ends up taking a hit. So I promise you today, please don't come from a perspective of bringing what it looks like an employee, being an employee, right? Being an executive. We are not in management here. We're not a boss here in this company. A boss doesn't equal leadership, okay? A boss is just authority that's given positional leadership, okay? Today, we're going to talk about being a charismatic leader, earning the things that you're supposed to have to be a leader and lead your people, okay? So people skills, discipline, right? A lot of your disciplines, your daily habits will determine what type of leader you're going to be tomorrow. And then the vision, that will determine how many people you're going to lead. What is your vision for people? What is your vision for where you're going and where your entire organization is going? You know, in the military, we have to have the foresight to see what's past the mountain that we're telling our people to charge up. Okay. I have to have the foresight when I'm flying a mission as a C-130 pilot to kind of fly the mission in my head before it even happens. So I look for different type of obstacles before they happen and pop out so that I can adjust and have my organization adjust. So leaders are visionaries, okay? If you look in history, most of your leaders, they had seen far in the future before it even happened. And they specify it by voicing it, by orating it to their team and to their organization. And then lastly, they know how to create momentum, right? Think about all those things I just talked about right now, okay? Respect, experience, emotional strength, people skills, discipline, vision, and momentum. Guess where we need all of those things at? In network marketing, okay? And you can't use positional leadership. So this is why I say that this industry is one of the best leadership processes you can go through, even if you're not successful. Listen to me, because whether you know it or not, you're going through a process. And this process, if you look at some of the most effective leaders in network marketing right now, you know, I can name some of the greats. They all didn't become truly effective unless they did something before. They didn't become truly effective in network marketing until 7 to 10 years in. And so you got to understand that there is a price to be paid to become the leader that you want to become and earn the money that you want to earn. See, leadership in this industry equates obviously to income and money. All right. So we're going to break those things down. So as a dorm chief, guess what? I had to figure those things out. So let me tell you that quick story, and then I'm going to lead into the actual readings here. So as a dorm chief, initially I started off using positional leadership, and then I gained respect and got the respect from the people, those 50 men that I was leading. Now understand, if you want respect, you have to what? Give respect. I mean, I have to talk to people in a certain way, just like I want to be respected. So I will tell you, I respected all 50 of those men in that dorm, just like I would respect myself. Okay. I spoke to them just like I would speak to myself. I didn't disrespect them to get things done. And over the time, they gained respect for who I was. And they ensured that, hey, we don't want to get the dorm chief in trouble. We love the dorm chief. We like the way he interacts. He cares about us. People don't care about what you think or what you say until they know how much you care about them. Okay. I cared about them. And so ultimately, I'll tell you what happened. At the end of it, you go through this whole process, learning, gaining discipline. You still have to, learn in the book. So we still have to study and understand they are giving us, for real, the goal was to deprive you of your sleep for 8 weeks. and see how you still operated as a person. So for 8 weeks, we were deprived of sleep. We would sleep only 4 hours a day. And in between that, they kept us purely busy marching around the base, doing PT all day, running, okay? Doing, drill step moves. Going out, we were shooting. So all type of things, they kept us busy all day. And then what we were supposed to fit in study kind of on our own time. I want you to think about that. So what they were teaching us is how to prioritize the things that were important and that needed to be done while under pressure. Okay, the MTIs put a kind of not manipulated, but a fake pressure on us, like as if we were in war, but a pressure on us. But we still have to prioritize what was important. Well, there was a test you must pass. If you don't pass this test, you're done. And I'll tell you, the stories that came out of that dorm, not everybody passed the test, folks. There were some people that absolutely needed to pass that test. Some of the stories coming out of there, one kid, and I got to see where he's at today. One kid, we were all helping, and we knew his story. He was homeless, and this was his only shot. And he joined the military because he had nowhere to go. And he just wanted to serve this country, and he was going through it. Trying to pass. He was kind of failing some things. So we were all working on him. Chablis, I think his name was Chablis, was his name. And needless to say, that kid, he didn't pass his test. But what happened was I made a decision, because I was the leader, that, we were deprived of sleep. We were supposed to be in bed at a certain time. If the MTI ever caught us up, then that was me. That was on me. Okay. So, and I'll tell you what ended up happening, because they took it seriously. At least they made it serious for me. Is about 2 days before the test, I realized there were people that were behind, and I realized that they were failing. I wanted people to pass. I wanted my whole group to pass. So I now had a heart for the men that I was leading, including myself. I was ready. I had studied. And so what I was allowing to happen was that in the showers, okay, we had shower time. I was allowing people to stay up we were staying up a little 30 minutes later and studying, because it was 2 days before the test. I made that call to get our whole group to pass the test. And so what happened, Chablis had failed before, and we needed him to pass again. So we all stood up. Long story short, that the most important test that everyone needed, they passed the test. Now, here was the bad part. I had to take the shot as the leader, because I allowed people to stay up, and they knew it. They allowed it to happen. They didn't say anything while everything was going on. Everyone took the test, they passed. And then I was called, like, Randy, it's come to our attention that you allow your men to stay up, blah, blah, blah. And, I had a reason why I did it. Okay. I'm not saying that, breaking the rules is something and so I didn't feel that I was breaking the rules. I felt that I was leading. Okay. And I stepped outside of what I was being told. Cause let's understand, yes, as a leader, you have to follow too. And there were orders that was given. But then I thought, in the best interest of all of my organization, that, hey, if I allow this, then we all win. And so long story short, we all did win. Okay. I did have to get in front of a full bird colonel, and I wasn't even a rank yet. Okay. Mind you, my first leadership role that I had to stand up responsibility in front of a full bird colonel. I'm nervous as all ever. And he goes, why did you allow them to stay up? Why did you break the rules? And I say, sir, I apologize. Did not mean to break the rules. And I understood what the process was. I decided I was taking a role as the dorm chief. I knew that people needed to pass. And if they didn't pass, they were going home. And so I wanted to ensure that everybody passed in the dorm. So, I figured 30 minutes later wouldn't impact anything. We'd still be able to accomplish our mission, still be able to wake up in the morning, do our PC, nothing changed. And I said, sir, the results prove, that it was correct. We all passed. And he says, I usually would do this, but you're correct. And I thank you for making that decision as a leader. Sometimes you're going to make a decision that may not even be the popular decision, folks, depending if it's for the people. And sometimes it might not be. It might be that you see something else that we can't do it, okay? But it's making the decision and being able to accept the consequences, okay? Now, that was my first. I had no idea what I was doing as a young 19-year-old. But understand, I get to see young men and women leading right now in this company. And best believe they are leaders. Why? Because they have influence, right? If they hit chairman, we can't look at them. I used to hear, when I was younger, older people would say, you don't know this. And that's true. And so we would take a perspective in our mindset that, well, I can't be a leader at the young age of 19. And that's where a majority become. I can't be a leader at 18. And I can't be a leader even at 17. That's not true. You can, okay? And you just apply the things that we're going to talk about right now. And it's a process. You're going to get better and better daily. So what happened, that's when my journey started. And from that time, I was a student. I got to watch leader after leader in the military that I studied. You know, then later on, as I got older and wiser, I got to study CEOs because I had a passion to start a business and go public with it. So I was studying successful CEOs like Jack Welch, who's kind of a hard-nosed CEO. I was studying people, you know, studying some of the presidents, studying Secretary of States like Colin Powell. That's, you know, I would say that was definitely one of my military mentors. So if you don't know who Colin Powell is, one of our first African-American Secretary of States, okay, or Secretary of Defense, and then went to Secretary of State. And it was during a time, you know, when in the 60s, okay, a rough time for African Americans, and he led from the front. And in his book that I read, I remember him talking about, I wanted to be out there picketing in front of the White House and doing what my folks were doing. But what I realized is I couldn't make change from outside the fence. He said, I have to make change from the inside. So he says, I decided to go from the inside and go all the way up the ladder. And he did. He became a 4-star general in the Army, okay, and in turn became the Secretary of Defense and then the Secretary of State, being one of the top at that time, before President Obama, being at that time one of the top African-American positions to be held in the United States. And obviously we broke and had our very first president. So that's powerful. Those are people that I followed, I read about. So never stop leading. And so when you look at me, I want you to understand, if you say, man, Randy has all these perspectives about leadership and this, and he was a pilot, it was a lot of years of growth. It was a lot of years of not knowing what I didn't know, okay? So today I'm going to talk about that process in whole, okay? So most of you know my story. Young kid, born and raised Compton, California, joined the military in 99. First job was a sim driver pretending to be a pilot, went through a process, you know, later became a pilot, 1% of 1%. You know, I was African-American. I was an African-American pilot in the United States Air Force, where 1% were pilots, 1% of that were African-American. So I always say that, never look at statistics, because it doesn't matter. All that matters is about how hard you're willing to go and your passion towards the position that you want to get, okay? So statistics do not matter. You were already created to be at the top if you want to get to the top. That was it. So I was fortunate that I grew up in the greatest leadership factory in the world, the United States Air Force. I became a pilot, and in being a pilot in the Air Force, all pilots become, at some point, they're going to be lieutenant colonels, generals. So a lot of my cohorts right now that I was serving with, I retired in 2013, but a lot of my cohorts who stayed in, you know, one of my good friends, man, that we were room buddies. So proud of him and his wife. I mean, he's held his character the same way the entire time, never changing, always supported who he supported, which I love, which is really, for knowing him, it's really against the grain for where he comes from. I'll say that. But I love it because I believe the Air Force got it right. So my buddy, he's a lieutenant colonel. Have no doubt he'll be a full bird colonel. He's leading an entire squadron. He's actually about to deploy off to Afghanistan right now. And that's the unfortunate part, is when the Air Force gives you a position, they're going to get their money out of you. They're going to send you off for a year to command in Afghanistan or Iraq somewhere. Always, always, always when they do that. But a lot of my friends are lieutenant colonels. Some are majors right now. Some, I mean, they're obviously getting groomed to be full bird colonels, so it's amazing to get to see that on the military structure. Obviously, I veered off and took another direction with entrepreneurship. It was kind of sparked in me in 2007 as I was going through pilot training, and then reading the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. I got intrigued about business, and then network marketing popped up on our radar in 2013. I was already, 13? I was 14 years of leadership already when I started in the industry of network marketing. And I was able to apply a lot of what I've learned in the military leadership-wise and apply it here. What was it mostly? It was my confidence, right? My competence, my willingness to lead, and understanding that I need to learn something. So, you know, I knew what I didn't know. So I'll tell you that. So now, if you have leadership, when you get involved with a new system or a new industry, you're already a leader. And what's going to happen is you're going to identify, I'm in phase 2 here. I'm in phase 3. So I'm going to talk about the 4 phases of leadership, okay, that you go through, right? There's going to be one where I don't know what I don't know. And if you never know, then you'll never grow. And then number 2 is I do know what I don't know. So therefore, you can now work on the things you don't know about, okay, and start growing so you can become that leader. Okay, so how do you get to that perspective? So what is the law of process? I just told you this big, huge story, okay? It's exactly that. Me becoming a leader today and where you're seeing me at, don't compare because you don't know the process that other people have went through. Law of process just means leadership develops daily, not in a day, okay? You're not gonna sign up to a network marketing company and immediately start leading 1,000 customers, 2,000 customers. Just not going to happen that way. It may take you some time. For some, it may take 3, 4, 5. For the majority of people, here's the real number: 5 to 10 years to be effective, to become an effective leader in network marketing and developing yourself daily. It's going to take 5 years, especially if you didn't have any type of leadership introductions or leaderships during the periods before network marketing. Okay, if you came off a regular job where you didn't take some positions to lead people or to influence people, okay, remember, leadership is influence. So what I'm really saying is, if you're coming from a place where you've never had to influence, 2 people, 3 people, or a group of people, then you haven't had an opportunity to learn how to lead. So you really don't know what you don't know. Okay, so in his books, he's talking about leadership obviously is influence, and it's your capacity to affect someone's character, development, and improvement. Okay, those 3 things I want you to understand. We are building character for people. We're developing leaders. We are developing their behavior. So who's the first person that you should lead for those 3 things? If you want to affect those 3 things, what do you have to be in those three things? You have to be at a high level. You have to be vibrating at a high level, high energy, high frequency, okay, to build your character, develop yourself, okay, and focus on your improvement on a daily basis. That's what leadership is. Leadership is always evolving. The day that you stop evolving as a leader will be the day that your influence goes away. The day that you stop evolving as a leader, meaning you stop leading and doing these things, influencing people, will be the day that your leadership goes away, because leadership is built on influence. And this is when a majority of people have the reality check when they decide to lead and realize there's no one following. Therefore, I am not a leader right now. So what do I need to do to learn my leadership skills? How do I get people to follow me? Okay. Well, it's, today you have so many ways that you can influence people through social media. You got, obviously I'll go with Facebook, but one of the biggest platforms we know, Instagram. Okay. Instagram is one of those volunteer forces. Now, I'm not saying that everyone with huge followings is a leader, because that's absolutely not true. Okay. But based off what you're seeing, like some of the Instagram, people follow folks based off their content. And if you can look at someone's Instagram and you follow them, you say, man, they're a good husband. They're a good wife. I like the way that they parent their kids. Wow, they are always inspiring people. You admire who they are on social media, that person you see, and hopefully it's the right person, that's the real person you're seeing, right? So guess what? They just influence you. So you can lead through social media and influence people through social media. So know that that's building up your leadership skills, okay? So how do I lead people doing that? Content. What type of content? How are you leading today? Okay? So you definitely, you have to distinguish yourself as a leader from your followers by what? Developing and improving on yourself. That's the difference. That's the difference between the 46 people that are on here right now. Some of you are going to become great leaders, and I believe I'm praying that all of you do. Okay, but the majority of people, if they don't apply this stuff that we're talking about on a daily basis, we're going to talk about some of the greats in their time and what they did, whether it be baseball, whether it be football, whether it be basketball, whether it be a military leader, okay, whether it be a spiritual leader. They all have an aspect of themselves where they knew that they had to grow their capacity of development so they can lead. So really all you're doing, I said, leaders grow. We talked about this, gain knowledge, okay? We talked about the GROW acronym, okay? So I want you to go back over that one about how do you grow as a leader? How do you improve daily? And then so let's lead ourselves into the 4 phases of leadership, because I believe if you realize what phase you're in, okay, you can make some adjustments. So the first phase, which most people are in, it was telling a story about in college, most people will discount themselves because you do have this perspective about what a leader is. And you'll say, look in the mirror and say, I'm not a leader because, right, I don't have this, or I don't speak well, or I don't have this about myself. And to be a leader, you must be that. And so you have this notion in your head about this leader who's been doing it for 20 years. Let me say it again. You have this notion about this leader who's been doing it for 20 years. So you base your journey based off the end of their journey. You base the beginning of your journey based off the end of their journey. And that's what happens most of the time. We think about the greats, but we forgot that they had to go through a process to get to where they are. Same for you. You have to go through a process to get to where you are. So if you're looking at, for example, my wife, Webb, she has great influence, okay? She's a powerhouse from the stage. She's an absolute leader, okay? Mother, wife, spiritual leader, okay? She has influence, okay? She's a good orator from stage, okay? But that was a process. For all of us, her process may have started very early in her time, from the time that she was just a little girl, okay? My wife has a huge story. So I believe her leadership, which it did, her leadership started very early in her life. So really what you're seeing is, I know she's young, 35 years old, but her leadership may have started when she was like 6 or 7. I promise you, okay? Where she had to figure some things out early in her life. And which what gave her a lot of experience, okay? In which we talked about that. Experience is one of those facets, okay? Experience, emotional strength, right? She built up a lot of emotional strength over the time. So know that when you're seeing these leaders from stage, that they had to go through a process. And one thing that we always say, comparison is a thief. It will rob and steal your joy. Why? Because you're comparing your journey that you have not taken yet with someone's end journey, with someone's end result, with someone who's already polished. They've read the books. They've been around the seminars, okay? So all you have to do is you need to copy off their journey. And you start your personal journey by developing yourself on a daily basis. Your only goal right now, you don't compare yourself, is to be better than you were the day before. Gain more knowledge than you had the day before. Lead more people than you did the day before. They say the average person tries daily to influence at least 4 people. Okay, so if you're not trying to influence 4 people daily, what does that mean? I mean, I may be on Instagram providing content. I may be on Facebook going with a live about a book I just read. Okay, it could be a lot of ways that you lead people by offering what you already know about some things. Okay, it doesn't have to necessarily be exactly about leadership. You may know something others don't know. No, and so you influence them, say, "Wow, that's awesome!" And they start following you. Okay, you've just what? You just increase your sphere of influence. What is a sphere of influence? How much influence you have on a certain territory. Some people have a fear of influence because maybe they're the big brother or they're the older sister. So they have a fear of influence over their siblings, okay? Some do, some don't. You may have a fear of influence over your cohorts or over your co-workers because they like your work ethic. They know that you are a hard worker and anything that you touch, it turns to gold. So they know if you ever do anything, I'm going to go with you because I realize you win at everything you touch. So you have a fear of influence for everybody that personally knows you because they know, man, if that person is doing something, I'm in. They always turn it into $1 million deal or they always turn it into a successful situation. So I want to be a part of that. Okay. So you have a wide range of fear of influence. Some of that comes from your credibility. If you have no fear of influence right now, then you're going to increase your territory. And as a matter of fact, I want to speak that into your life, that God increases your territory tenfold, that he gives you the knowledge that you're supposed to know, that you already step out of where you are. You get uncomfortable and you step into your greatness just like God meant you to step into. That's what I would pray for you right now in 2020, because I know that is absolutely possible. So hopefully you claim that and you know that's for you. And I know that it's coming. Why? Because I was a product of that. Listen. I was broken coming out of Compton, California. Evicted from my apartment. Got a baby, got my child who's barely 1 year old. She's turning 22 years old this year. Okay, and I didn't know how I was gonna make it. Dead broke, no place to live. Got a wife at that time, got a child at that time. I was broken, and I had to literally leave them, folks. This is such a personal story, but I remember. My mom always had to move place to place too. So here we're all scrounging off each other. This is what my household looked like. And so I had moved in with my mom and I got evicted from my place and I knew I had to go to the military. And then when I was leaving, my mom was finding a new place. So I had to get my wife at that time. We had to move. And imagine this situation. I got to head off to go to basic training. I have no place to stay. My kid and wife has no place to stay. We had to go do one of those motels that was a rent weekly type deal. It's a real story, folks. This is how my life started. okay? I had to put my wife at the time and child in a motel that paid weekly. I didn't have any money. We had to just pay the 1 week, and I had to hope that my military check was going to come through. That's how I started in the military, folks. That's where I came from. When I say I came from poverty, I came from poverty, broke and broken, okay? Broken as a man, because at that time I wasn't taking care of my responsibility. I was working hard for sure. It just wasn't working out for me at all. It's like everything was crushing in, but I look at today, where I was at mentally, I was kind of attracting some of those situations. Why? Because my energy was so low. I was being beaten down, and I didn't know how to lift myself up. No one taught me how to lift myself back up. Okay, so when that lift came when I did join the military, I realized there was some hope on the other side. But I was leaving something behind hard, and when I joined the military, that was my rebirth, my restart. Okay, and obviously today you guys see me, and like I said, it was a journey. Right? We all have those stories. We all have a book in us. Okay. If I tell you all the things I went through, people that are not in my life and just everything, you'll say, wow, that makes sense. And you'll realize that you are currently being put in situations and obstacles to build up your character so that you can lead the many people one day, the many people of your community. If you've never been through anything, how can you ever lead anybody out of anything? Okay. So praise God today that you're going through things, because all that it is character building. I promise you it is. Everything that I've ever went through for the past 21 years has got me ready for just this time. See, they say that leadership, you developing yourself today, you don't know when that time is coming, but there's going to be an appointed time that everything that you're learning today is going to be needed. And you have to be ready for it. But if you're not preparing yourself right now for that time, then God can't even give you the opportunity. He can't even present you with the opportunity. So you wonder, like, when does my opportunity come? When are you going to develop? How many books are you going to read? What do you keep developing and learning? When are you going to go through your situation? Because guess what? Yes, I can't see what's happening behind your doors. I don't know what's happening at your home. I don't know what leadership position you're being put in. I don't know what you're overcoming or conquering. That is up between you, your foundation. That's between you and God. What are you conquering right now that is building you up right now? Everyone on here is going through something. We all are. And just know that it is building you up. And when you get to that point, I promise you will know exactly why you went through what you went through. I promise you will, because I knew exactly why I went through what I went through. And I can't wait to write a book. I keep on saying it. I'm going to write a book. Why? Because all of those stories are building blocks of your leadership. And that's why every person who gets to the top, they write their book, because they went through building blocks. It was a process. So here are the 4 phases. Phase 1. I don't know what I don't know, okay? Simply put, so this is in John C. Maxwell. If you don't have the book, definitely download it offline, the PDF. It says only a few, and I already talked about, it's only a few believe that they're leaders, okay? You don't know what you don't know. Everybody's a leader. So first thing I want you to know is that everybody's a leader, okay? If you don't know that you already have leadership inside of you, you'll never grow to become the leader you're supposed to become, okay? You have to step up and get outside of your comfort zone, get outside your box. Like I did, I was forced. I had to leave my home. I had to put my wife at that time in the motel, my kid. I had to leave, okay, and make a decision for my family at that time so I could move to the next level. I imagine now, I wonder if I said, I can't leave, because that was my obstacle. That was my problem at the time. And I had to figure it out. No money, no place to live. Have you ever like your entire family comes from poverty and you don't have no one to go to and turn to? For me, I think that was by design. I had to figure it out. I couldn't turn to say, could I have $1,000? No, I didn't have that. I didn't have no one to turn to. I don't know if you have that in your family. I didn't have where I can turn to someone. And so I had to make a hard decision. And I remember, man, it was hard. Turning to someone and saying, I got to go off, but when I do this is what's going to make it better for our family. That buy-in was rough. Okay? But I made the decision, I left. And I will tell you, it's probably the best decision I've ever made in my life. And I'll do it over and over again, because now I know where I was supposed to be. I knew that I was supposed to go through it. It was just that thing. And so you're going to have those very, very, very hard decisions in your life. And you got to make the decision. Is it going to grow you? And here's the only thing. If I stay, does it grow me? Okay, listen, if I stayed, would I have grown as a leader? I don't know. Okay. What I did know is I made a decision to go and I did grow. Okay. So sometimes you're going to have to go to grow. That's what I'm saying. You have to do the thing that makes you uncomfortable to grow. Because that's the very thing you're supposed to do. Anytime now that I see there's an obstacle, anytime there's an obstacle thrown in the way, some people will say, I know you guys have heard this. Things are happening. It could be as easy as, let's talk about this one. Someone enrolling in the system. You know how our system is sometimes with the banks. Someone enrolling into the system. And you have two perspectives. I heard two people say it, two different people, same situation. They're enrolling. They get the stuff, trust and safety email. They got to send their ID in. Then they realize, oh crap, it's actually the bank. The bank blocks it. This happens. And you know, some people will say there was two perspectives. One perspective was, you know what? God must not want me to do this. That's one perspective. And then one perspective, this is wisdom, okay? This is going to be really good because, you know, this negativity is trying to stop me and I'm not going to stop. I'm going to get this done. They have the spirit to overcome. Some people have the spirit to quit and don't know it. Okay, automatically. And I'll tell you, here's my thought process when that happens. You know, for me personally, when I'm sorting people out, I'm going to tell you, anybody who's messaged me about someone who says that, what do I say? I say, let them go. They're letting you know early that they're going to quit. If they can't even get in the system to enroll, if sending in an ID is rough, you don't want them on this journey and path with you. We're talking about 7-figure and 8-figure dreams. Some of us talking about 10-figure dreams. I don't want to be involved with someone who is having a hard issue or stressed out about enrolling into a system. Okay, that's your first obstacle, and that's rough. Nah, we don't need that soldier on the side of us. You understand where I'm coming from, right? We're looking for overcomers and conquerors. Okay, that you look at something and say, "That's it. I'm going to do that." Why do I say that? Because if I like to attract people that either can outwork me, right? Outwork me, or stay with me, or overcome something. Listen, if I wasn't a person to conquer or overcome, I would never become a pilot. There were so many obstacles that were thrown at me before becoming a pilot, in between pilot training, after pilot training. Holy, if that was the case, I could have said, God didn't want me to be a pilot. But that was a building block for me. He absolutely did. It blessed my family. You know, I got to bless people. I got to deploy and see what it looked like, what underprivileged countries look like. It was absolutely a blessing. And I went through a lot. But God showed me in all those ways because I was blessed. There were situations where, you know, most people say you weren't even qualified. Man said you weren't qualified. God said you are. They think you're not qualified, but you are. You're in. Okay? So, but you have to have the spirit to overcome. Okay? Don't have the spirit to quit. So that's your first phase. So hopefully you got that right there. If they're having trouble enrolling, you can say this in a gentle way. I just like to tell people, guess what? When obstacles occur, that means that's actually an example of probably why you should do it. Okay? Now, not all the time. Maybe some things, pray about it. Maybe some things, yes. You know, that may be happening like, wow, I'm glad I didn't do it. But for an enrollment, no, not at all. Okay? So first phase, I don't know what I don't know. Right? You don't know what you don't know, so you'll never grow. So you got to figure out what is it that I don't know about leadership today that will allow me to grow. The next phase, phase 2, I know what I don't know. Okay? How do you realize this one? The only way that you're going to know what you don't know is to put yourself in the situation. We're all scared to step out on faith. Okay? Faith is big. And then works is big. Faith without works and works without faith. They just don't go. You got to have faith and keep on going. Faith without works is dead. So here we go. You start. And this is when you start realizing, let's say you sign up, guess what? Congratulations, you guys are in phase 2. Why are you in phase 2? You signed up. You already enrolled in I Am Academy. Now you are stepping into faith and you're saying, okay, I'm going to try to lead. Okay, what does that look like? Okay, I get on these calls. Randy says I should read. Okay, Randy says that I should present. Randy says I should talk to people. Wanda says I should influence people, start conversations. Okay, so you're starting off. You don't know what you don't know right now. And then now you're starting to know, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So now I need to get better in this. And now I need to get these books right here. And now I need to get these books right here so I can start reading them so I can now learn what I didn't know. Okay, and when you start learning what you didn't know, which most people learn, they don't have following. That's what I have in my notes here. you begin the process. So phase 2 is when you're going to begin your process of leadership. So today, guess what? We're talking about the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. This is stuff that you probably didn't know. So hopefully you do get the book, you speed ahead of me, read the whole thing, so that as we go through this, it's going to reinforce what I'm talking about in a story form and in real life, what situations have happened. Okay. So in between this, Benjamin Disraeli said this: to be conscious that you are ignorant of the facts is a great step to knowledge. To be conscious that you are ignorant of the facts is a great step to knowledge, meaning I know that I'm ignorant. I know that I don't know. And so now I'm going to go find and start the process so that I can learn what I don't know. It's just like when I talk about our money system, right? I've read, listen, folks, you want to see my life? Look, listen, I wasn't a reader before. You know, I got great grades in school. I was a kid that came from the hood. You know, I was smart, and I was able to really skim through school. I was able to get through my work. You know, I was able to still be an A student and still not do great things around, okay? And my first year of college determined, that's when I realized where my disciplines were. High school, I was able to get through because I was being told what to do, and I just did it. In college, you weren't told what to do. You just do it. And I realized I had my own time, and I got a 1.0 GPA my first year in college before the military, okay? First year of college, 1.0 GPA. Why? I'll tell you exactly what I did. I didn't do the work. They said, read the books. I thought I could skim through the books. I didn't read the books. And I expected like they were just going to pass me or something. No. Hey, young man, you are now an adult. Welcome. So I wasn't a reader back then. Today, folks, I'm a reader, okay? That's what I'm going to tell you. Leaders are learners, okay? They seek to always develop. So all these books right here, you see the Jack Welch, okay, Prosperity Bible, Got My Bible, you know, The Road to Ruins, you know, Jordan Belfort, The Way of the Wolf. I got a lot of Robert Kiyosaki books here. Success God's Way, you know, Start Late, Finish Rich, Thou Shalt Prosper, powerful, right? How should you operate in your household? So I have a lot of powerful books up here that I learned from different folks. What Success Runs in Our Race is a good one. You know, personalities, me and my wife, so you know that we also develop ourselves in, for those that are in relationships, you're married or you're looking to be married. Understand it's not just about reading books just personally for yourself. It's about developing yourself personally for your being in a relationship, okay? Developing yourself as a husband, developing yourself as a wife. Same thing. We read a lot of books because we know what we don't know. You know, coming up, I knew that I didn't know how to be a good husband. Why? Because if that was the case, I would have watched the success happen in my home, and I grew up in a single family home, so that I didn't have a good role model per se to show me how to go through the tough times while you're married. Okay, I had to learn that over time. I had to read books like Divorce Proof Your Marriage by Dr. Rosenberg. Okay, that's a good one for all my married couples that are on here. Definitely read that book. Okay, that book changed my life. It changed me first. Okay, so husbands, change you first. It's never the other person. It was me. Okay, I had to look at, I was the one. Okay, I realized that, and I had to change it. Okay, and so once again, talking about the law of process. So looking at, you know, Wanda and I's relationship, I know we get a lot of admiration for, you know, how we love one another and how we operate with one another, how we do this together. That was a process, an absolute process. A lot of reading books, a lot of marital counseling. Okay, a lot of spiritual counseling for us, and so we grew. That's it. So that I grew as a leader inside my home, spiritually and as a husband. Okay. So know what you don't know. You know, what do you not know as a husband? What do you not know as a wife? What do you not know as a business partner? What do you not know as a networker? Okay. And all the things that you know that you don't know, you need to improve them daily. Okay. Inch by inch. It's not, you don't become a leader the same day. Okay. So it may be, you see all these books here. This took me some time to read. Okay. So day by day, 30 minutes a day. Okay, 1 hour a day, read something that was going to develop you and uplift you. Guess what? That is increasing your fear of influence and what you know. Okay. So when you realize your lack of skill, and then so phase 3, now we're moving to phase 3. I grow and I know, and it starts to show. Let me say that again. I grow and I know I'm growing, and it's starting to show. Okay, so now you are doing the things you're supposed to do. You're watching your influence change. You see what's happening in your organization, and you're realizing, wow, it's working. I'm developing. People are following me. They're listening to me. I'm speaking a certain way. I'm better in what I do. I'm a better presenter. You see the growth, as you're doing it, okay? That's phase 3. You realize the lack of skill, you begin the discipline of personal growth and leadership. Just what I'm talking about. Pick up the book, learn what you don't know. Become a lifelong learner of leadership because it's a process. Let's talk about this. In John C. Maxwell's book, he's talking to a young man he's the age of 19 years old. He realized he's very sharp. He's taking notes while they're going through their seminar. He has the young man stand up and he tells him, keep on doing what you're doing. Be a lifelong learner, okay, of leadership. You're going to be a great one day. Okay, but today, can't say that you're great. You got to keep on learning and developing. So he said, 5 years, you'll see progress. Listen, he said, 5 years, you'll see progress. 10 years, you'll develop the competence of leader. What does that mean? Now, I've been leading. I can say I've purely been leading for 21 years. Okay, 21 years I've been leading. So, and I do get this. We're going to talk about phase 4. How do you just know to do that? Why did you just do that? How did you know just to start that system? Who gave you permission? No one gave me permission. Okay, because I just knew to do it, right? That leadership, I just wanted a system that was going to be easy for everybody. I know when I think in terms of doing something, I don't think in terms of myself, okay? I think in terms of everybody, okay? I think in terms of even the weakest link in my organization. How do the weakest link in my organization win, even though they don't have every aspect of leadership that I have? Right? We create systems around it so that they can win and they can increase their competence in what they do and their skills along the way. Hence, we create the Legacy Worldwide system, right? How do I get a person started? That's leadership. Getting someone started in this business is a first form of leadership, of you leading someone to something. Hey, here's how you do the Mentorship 4 app. That's leading. Whether you know it or not, you are leading, okay? Helping someone download an app, right? To list your influence. Hey, do this, do that. Here's how you calculate pips. Here's how you do that. That is your first start, okay, of course, and then you're going to develop to how do I make this bigger and apply to everybody else? Now that I'm leading a huge organization to do the same thing, okay? So becoming a lifelong learner of leadership, read books. So here are the 3 things you need to do. Read books daily. Listen to audios daily, okay? So you have your Les Browns, okay? You have your Les Browns, you have your Tony Robbins. We have Bob Proctor in our organization, so I hope he got three sessions now inside of our back office. So go to and then we have some mindset stuff inside of our back office as well too. So go to Bob Proctor, go to the mindset stuff, listen to those audios, go online. Just, one thing that I used to do back in the days when I first started in this industry too, I would look up $1 million earners, and I would listen to different $1 million earners from different organizations and what they were saying and their posture from stage and what they talked about. Okay, because the goal was become $1 million earner. Okay, so I listened to what people who were $1 million earners, what did they say from stage? How did they talk? What was their posture? What did they say they did? And all perspectives. Okay, so take the time, listen to some audios, attend seminars when you can. The perfect thing, this is why network marketing is so powerful, folks. Some people think you'll say, oh, it's coaches or it's this. Listen, you're attending these seminars or leadership seminars. You're learning from people who had to lead large organizations and are telling you what they did. There's nothing better than that. And in network marketing, here's the greatest part. Instead of having to pay $5,000, $10,000 to go to a seminar, maybe you can't pay $5,000 to go to a Tony Robbins event or $2,000 to go to a Tony Robbins or a Grant Cardone event. But in network marketing, what do they cost? $200 to go, right? Maybe $300, but sometimes they're only $100 to go to an event that you're going to get leadership development from. So never pass up the opportunity to go to an event that another leader of influence is about to speak to you with. Guess what? This Saturday, we have, one of our top millennial leaders too, that's in our company, Chairman Elite, Alex Morton. Alex started his journey literally when he was 19 years old in a company called Bima. Okay, and he became a 7-figure earner. He started in 2011. Here we are in 2020. So 9 years ago, he started his first network marketing company, became a $1 million earner there, ended up having to transition to another company and then transition again. So he transitioned 2 times. This is his 3rd company. He's now making super money. I would say $1 million a month probably, okay, in this company. It was a process, and I watched this process, right? 1 million followers on Instagram. He really does lead. Okay, so you get to hear from people like that. So never pass up opportunities. That's coming this Saturday. If you want to know how do I get on this exclusive training with Alex Morton, it's for active platinum 600s and above. Okay, why? Because I believe that I want to make sure I respect Alex Morton and what he's going to say on this call. And we want people who have earned the position to elevate. So active platinum 600s, I believe, is the first position where you've earned to listen to something like that, what we're going to present you to. So, and it's making you perform, it's making you go to action, which is going to be in one of our phases here. All right. So number 3, I grow, I know, and it starts to show. You realize what you don't know and you push upon it. So 3 things: read books, listen to audios, attend seminars. Okay. You can start right here in this company. And then of course you have the Tony Robbins. Okay. You have the Les Browns. Okay. Back in the days, you can listen to Zig Ziglar now. Okay. So all the greats, you have some GoPro content as well too. So go online, list all this stuff. A lot of it you can get for free. All right. 5 years, you'll see progress. 10 years, you'll develop competence. 20 years will be purely wisdom. You'll be a highly effective leader. Okay. You'll just do it. You'll just know. People ask you, how do you know how to do it? It just comes. I just know. Okay. And that leads us into phase 4. I simply go because of what I know. Some of you have this wisdom already. You simply just go because of what you know. Okay. And it's happening naturally. You don't have to think about it. In phase 3, okay, you do know, but you have to think about every move that you're going to do because you're not that experienced yet. So remember, we talked about the facets of leadership: experience, emotional strength, all those things, they add upon each other with time. Okay? You got to pay the price based off time and process. In phase 3, yeah, like I said, you don't know you don't know exactly the move, so you have to think about it before you do it. Phase 4, you just do it. You have the ability to lead. It's almost automatic. And that's when the payoff happens. And so what I want you to understand is you got to get to a point in your leadership that you just know and you just do it. And how does that happen? I like to combine a lot of books together. I've always talked about this book, Outliers. To be a great, okay, and what you do, you have to put the time in, okay? It's 10,000 hours to be an expert. We become experts at our job. Imagine becoming an expert at money, become an expert at leadership. Okay, so go study leaders. You reading the books and you applying them is you practicing leadership. So 10,000 hours is what's required. So to lead tomorrow, you got to learn today. That's it. And so what Benjamin Disraeli goes on to say, he says, the secret of success in life is for a man to be ready for his time when it comes. I said that earlier, right? Be ready for the time when it comes. This entire process, right? It may take you 7 years to become the leader you're supposed to be. But if you're not here, guess what? You didn't wait until your time. So in 7 years, when that time comes, that appointed time comes, maybe as you've been fighting to become a chairman 100, make $100,000 a month for your family. Maybe your whole vision is to become a chairman 500 because you have so much things that you want to support. Okay, so you want to make $6 million a year. I'm not saying that money equals leadership, but yes, in this industry, leadership, influence, all of it goes together. So the more that you influence, the more money you make. Right? The bigger your leadership, the bigger your fear of influence, right? Your network following, the bigger your check. The more people that you develop, okay, the more leaders that you produce, the more that you make. So really, it does pertain to network marketing. All of it comes together. Your influence, okay, your leadership, your money, all of it together. And that's what determines your leadership in network marketing right now. So what a person does on a disciplined and consistent basis gets them ready. So currently today, how do you get ready for your appointed time? What you do disciplined and consistently on a basis, or what you basically do consistently with your disciplines is going to determine what you're going to do later. And it matters to get you ready for your goal. And it doesn't matter the type of goal. Okay, so they go on to talk about all the greats. So we can kind of talk about all the greats that are out there. Rest in peace to the late Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. But the Mamba effect, right? I'll tell you, my brother, he was playing for the D League, and he was telling me that, dude, Kobe Bryant really does stay back past practice. He played for Rodney, my younger brother was playing for the LA Defenders. And so he said, Kobe Bryant, dude, literally, his work ethic is insane. He literally does, they'll practice all day long, and he'll stay back after practice, practicing even more, taking more shots on that court, hours, getting it in way more than everybody else. The Larry Birds they talk about in the book, he shot 500 shots every single morning to become one of the greatest shooters, one of the greatest free throw shooters. Okay. Demosthenes of ancient Greece, he became the greatest orator, greatest speaker by reciting verses with pebbles in his mouth and speaking over the roar of the waves. Okay. He wanted to become a good speaker. Now here's the catch. He had to overcome something. He had a speech impediment. He was born with a speech impairment, and he overcame that by putting in the time and putting in the effort. He put pebbles in his mouth and recited his speech over and over again loudly over the roar of the sea. Okay, that's him pronunciating his words. Even, and I know that I must improve my orating, my speaking. Okay, and so those are things that when you understand what you have to improve on, you do it. Okay, the same dedication is required for you. The dedication of these people right here, Michael Jordan, the same way. Practice after practice. What you do when no one's watching matters. You think that it doesn't matter. I'll watch a little TV because there's no bosses here. I can't tell you don't watch TV. I can't tell you you got to read books. I can't tell you you should be presenting to people. I can't tell you, hey, you should probably be reaching out to folks on Facebook to increase your fear of influence. I can't watch that, and I'm not your boss. But what I can tell you, if you want a successful business, you want to be successful in life, you have to force yourself to be a good boss to yourself, be a good leader to yourself first. What? Developing who you are, developing your character, okay, and improving on yourself on a daily basis. If you want to be a better presenter, guess what you got to do? Start presenting more. You want to be a better networker? Start networking more. You want to be a better leader? Learn to lead more and keep leading. And that's all that it takes, folks. So put the time in. 10,000 hours is what it is. And this is our third session, the law of process. Pay the price. And that's all that matters in the journey that we're in. I know that every one of you, your leaders on here, you're already influencing people. I'm watching you over social media. I'm watching your progress. Even those who are not influencing people right now, you're currently in your journey because you're learning. You're on this call, okay? So guess what? That means you're learning. You're putting more inside your mindset. You're elevating your frequencies. And guess what? Your time is going to come. So I'm absolutely excited about where we're going, folks. That is our leadership call today.